Hello everyone, I'm Meera Shah, audiologist, speech therapist, and counselor. Welcome to the third and the final part of the book summary Awakened by Autism by Dr. Andrea Libuti. I am so glad that you all are here to dive deep into the concepts presented in this inspiring book. Today, in this video, we are going to talk about the second section of the book, which is all about alignment. It is about connecting with our kids not by forcing them or conforming them, but by aligning with them emotionally and by aligning within ourselves spiritually. While we dive deep into this, I would invite you all to look at your own life and see where these concepts can fit in. Let's begin by a personal story that Dr. Libuti shares about her second son, Sam, who gains immense pleasure by playing piano. On the other hand, her husband, who also used to enjoy piano in his childhood, gave it up when it became all about performance rather than his passion. This story gives us an important realization, whether we are parents or caregivers or teachers, that whenever something, even if that thing gives us a lot of joy, when it is forced onto us, we start resisting it. Think about it. How often do we push our child to look a certain way to fit into the society, whether it may be behavioral, social, academic, or any aspect, simply because society expects them to conform? Dr. Libuti highlights a point here that while we are making our kids to look a certain way, look so-called normal, in the first place, it shows that we are not accepting them as they are. And secondly, by trying to do so unknowingly, unintentionally, we are suppressing their uniqueness, their unique spirit. Further, Dr. Libuti shares two remarkable experiences. One in which his father scolded Jack, snapped at him because he had a long day and Jack was making a lot of noise early in the morning, and he just shouted. The second, in which one of the ABA therapists ended up forcefully handling Jack one fine day just because he was not performing as expected. In both the episodes, what was astonishing was Jack's response. With his dad, he literally said, "Daddy is grumpy, he's in pain, want to give dad a kiss to make him feel better." Even with the ABA therapist, the episode which was witnessed by Dr. Libuti had a lasting effect on her, but Jack, it didn't waver his excitement to meet the therapist in the following days. In both the incidences, it's not that Jack, being autistic, he couldn't understand the emotions or he was naive about what was happening in those situations. The truth is far from that. At this age, forget being defensive, being egoistic, he could extrapolate what from where the person's anger comes from. He overlooked it and also provided a comforting response. Jack could do this because his spirit is untethered by false ego, societal expectations, or painful past experiences. He is aligned with his higher self. This is what truly means meeting the other person where they are with full acceptance. And probably this is what they are trying to teach us. So, here are some actionable advice. Please don't try to fix them. Please don't make them look normal. Please don't stop them from stimming. Rather, meet them where they are with full acceptance. One day, Jack's school aide broke all the protocols, the stereotypes, and she thought of just going along with Jack. In spite of getting disapproving looks from other teachers, she went ahead and kept on spinning on the tire swing with Jack. And that day, something magical happened. For the first time, Jack connected emotionally with his peers in the school. For the first time, he laughed, he approached them, and he was eager to socially connect with them. Dr. Libuti shares that the Sunrise program was a groundbreaking approach for Jack. It focuses on joining the child in his exclusive behaviors, celebrating any interaction the child gives us, and to inspire the child to participate in our world and our activities when they are ready. Out of all the approaches that she had used till now, this was the most effective approach to bring about improvement in social connections. This, in a way, tells us that autism, at its core, rather than being more of a behavioral problem, it's more of a social relational issue, or rather a mismatch. And to bring about to join the gap of this difference, what we need to do is we need to learn how to interact with our kids so that we can inspire them enough to come and join us and make meaningful relationships. They used this approach as a part-time after-school program in the second grade, but during that time, the improvement was so significant in Jack. For the first time, he started even asking about what's your favorite color, and he was drawing his favorite geometric shape dodecahedron for the mother and the other loved ones. So this was such a significant shift that she was confident enough, and from third grade, she opted for homeschooling for Jack based on these principles. This approach of connecting with Jack also brought about significant shifts in their family dynamics. Ben, the youngest son, could never really connect well with Jack just because deep down he was upset that he can't be a proper big brother. Being inspired by all the shifts that everyone else was adopting in the family, he one fine day decided to just join Jack, go with the flow, follow his lead, and just he kept on doing what Jack was doing, which mainly was jumping in and out of the pool. For the first time, they had a lot of laugh, they had a great fun time together, just because there was no force, there was no frustration, and he truly joined Jack in his world, and because of that, they connected so well. Just a little earlier, we discussed that unknowingly we do suppress the spirit of autism, uh, and we make them fit into the normalcy. Have you ever wondered why do we do that? To find the answer, Dr. Libuti started her research in social psychology, and she found that she summed it up as that we have a dire need to feel connected with one another. We also need to understand that where do we stand in the community, and also that there's a herd instinct, a collective instinct of ferocity towards the members who are not a part of the community. So perhaps we fear that when we stand out, we will have to face that ferocity, we or our kids, which is why we have a dire need to fit in and to be the norm. This collective fear, our painful past experiences, or our childhood unresolved emotional traumas unknowingly shape whatever we do in life, for that matter, but definitely it shapes the parenting skills that we have. In spite of having seemingly normal childhood, Dr. Libuti had a lot of painful past experiences which she wasn't even consciously aware of. She used tools like meditation, hypnosis, breath work, visualization, and energy work. With the help of these tools, what she did was she could tap into and release these emotions, this suppressed emotion. She confronted her childhood emotional neglect, which had taken shape of subconscious unworthiness, inadequacy for years. This was not just a mental experience, but it was a profound spiritual and emotional healing at a much deeper level. After she had been through this release process, it had its effect on the family dynamics as well. The overall energy of the entire house became lighter, more positive, more supportive towards each other. And Jack also thrived. This was not a mere coincidence. Kids, especially those with autism, are incredibly sensitive to the emotional states of people around them. Let's look at some of the actionable advice. Parents, caregivers, or therapists, we need to remember that these kids are attuned to us. They feel, They sense
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
our unresolved pain. Our unresolved traumas. And when we heal, we reclaim our peace, we reclaim our power. Healing isn't about perfection. Healing is about being present, being authentic, being whole. And when we meet our kid with this wholeness, we create a space for them to grow and to engage with us and with others around us, the world at large, in a much balanced way. While Dr. Libuti was researching the power of thoughts and belief system, she came across a lot of concepts of quantum physics, and she also came across David Hawkins' tool, Map of Consciousness. It is a tool that helps us overcome the limitations of human mind and also helps us undo the human pain and suffering. This map of consciousness is basically a table that assigns frequencies to whole range of human emotions. The scale begins with low frequency emotions like blame, despair, hate, shame, and so on. It continues to high frequency emotions like trust, forgiveness, understanding, reverence, bliss, love, and so on. So, to consciously move towards higher frequency, we need to shed the lower, denser, limiting emotions and gradually progress towards high frequency emotions. This increases our own frequency of vibration, which in turn raises our consciousness level. This shift in frequency radiates beneficial and healing effect. We experience greater and greater synchronicity and joy. Our work becomes effortless and more rewarding, and what we experience is peace, love, and abundance. Dr. Libuti shares yet another intriguing experience with Jack. She normally spends a lot of time while Jack does his so-called weird activities. This time it was just dropping puzzle pieces on the ground and putting his ears close to the ground and just listening it, or probably picking the puzzle piece and just scratching it near his ear. So she was spending a lot of time with Jack while doing this activity. So one day she thought of just challenging him. She put a puzzle piece on her back and she just dropped it on the ground and just asked him, "What is it?" And to her complete surprise, Jack identified all the 50 US states correctly, merely by listening to the sound that it made while it struck the ground. She very well knew that Jack had good pitch sense. He could very well identify the notes that his brother Sam played on the piano. But this was something else at some other level only. She was amazed, but at the same time she wondered why was he given such astute ability. Many children like Jack are very good with pitch sense and can identify sound frequencies. But what is important to know here is it's not just the sound frequencies that they can interpret, they are very good at understanding our frequencies as well. The people they are around them, they can understand the frequency with which they vibrate. This is why children with autism require us to come and act from a higher place of love and acceptance. And when we do that, we become a frequency match with them, and that's when they can connect with better with us. As we conclude the video, I would want to leave you with a summarized takeaway. When we consciously work on our thoughts and our beliefs, when we embrace high frequency emotions, when we shed the old past pains and traumas, automatically our consciousness levels increases. From that level, it becomes just very natural to accept each other as they are and to keep growing and evolving together from there. So let's rethink the core question. Instead of asking, how can I change my child? Let's ask, how can I meet my child where he is and grow from there together? So let's embrace alignment, connections, and joy. Until next time, stay tuned and let's keep being in tune.